So this is Mari Lane from the Buying Space channel and Unenveloping, a package from Aaron, the ephemera guy with the brooch hat. He infamously has one of the longest channel names in the reseller community. And I went to an auction and bought from him, and the oh dear, this book is damaged. This envelope was torn in shipping. These books are vintage and should have been placed in a box. So here we have this one, Mr. Lincoln's Cameraman by Matthew B. Brady from Meredith Publishing. And this is a wonderful vintage book. And thank God it has arrived undamaged. This was published in 1946, but the subject matter goes back to Civil War and before. There are lots of wonderful people in here that were photographed by the same photographer that photographed Abraham Lincoln. Lots of locations, boats. Here's a Union wounded at Fredericksburg. So this photographer has more Union pictures in here because he photographed the president. Here we go. Jefferson Davis. So I don't want to show Jefferson Davis. So some of the Confederates are in here. So he did photograph both sides of the war. I'm from West Virginia, and I have ancestors that fought on both sides. My most significant Union ancestor was Reverend Benjamin Hager. He was a Methodist minister. He was my grandmother's grandfather. And Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. And my grandmother Hazel was called a Abraham Lincoln Republican, and so was my great-great-grandfather as Reverend Benjamin Hager. Well, ironically, oh, here we go. President Abraham Lincoln at the commander's tent at Sharpsburg. Wow, the Secret Service chief, Alan Pinkerton, is on his left. Oh my goodness, it's Alan Pinkerton from one of the founders of Pinkerton Security Company. Wow, what a photograph. Very nice. Lots of history in this book. There are some Confederate leaders in here, but it's in a book. It's on a wall. I'm not cherishing the Confederate photos, but it's all part of the history of the Civil War. So I'll put this over here and see what other books I got. Wow, look at this little book. It's the famous actors of the day in America. So look at how beautiful. It's like a copper leafed, and this is a peacock. So I guess actors like to show off and see what year this was published. Joseph Jefferson. And this is Famous Actors of the Day in America by Louis Strang, 1900. So these are the actors of the day 124 and 125 years ago. Oh, wow! Edward H. Southern as D'Artagnan in The King's Musketeers. Of course, I watched the 1970s versions of the 3 and 4 Musketeers, and D'Artagnan, I think, was played by Michael York. I'll have to look that up. I'll put it in the chat. And because D'Artagnan was, or the 3 Musketeers and 4 Musketeers, if there was such thing, was written by Alexander Dumas. And it's a famous story that's been told over and over, and on stage and in film. No idea that was in there. Wilton Lackley as Senegal in Tripoli, which I don't have any idea about that play or movie. A lot of these actors that were early on were also stage actors. Stuart Robertson as Bertie in Henrietta. And I don't have any idea about that work either. I did pledge Alpha Psi Omega, which is the fraternity for actors and actresses when I was at college. I was a theater assistant. Herbert Halsey. Yeah, you just learn more and more dimensions of Myra Elaine as we go on with all of these unboxings and why I order things. E.M. Holland. Edmund Milton Holland's career as an actor is a remarkable record of consistency. Made his debut in 1866 and later became a member of the Lester Wallach's famous New York company, which remained until 1880, then visited England with McKee Rankin. And all of these references are way before my day, so this is going to teach me more about the history of acting and film. Wonderful little book. Okay, and here we have, now this got bent in shipping, the cover did. Okay, and the doilies are gone, or were never included. So I'll email Erin and say, hey, I didn't get my doilies. Page 1, major events as presented in New York Times, revised and upgraded. And there is some curling on the cover. That may not have happened in the shipping. The shipping might not have done any damage. But I always just like to tell people to use caution. Now, this is page 1 of the New York Times from 1920 to 1988. So, page 1. And here's 1940 to 1949. So, I'm going to go to, I'm going to have to get closer. Excuse me for a moment while I find the date. December the 8th. 1941. December 7th, 1941 was Pearl Harbor Day. Japanese wars on U.S. and Britain make sudden attack in Hawaii. Heavy fighting at sea reported. So the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. That's why it's Pearl Harbor Day. December 9th, U.S. declares war. So it took us 3 days, I don't know why, to declare war on Japan. And that's when we entered World War II. We had sat out and just complained until that point. And here is is that Eisenhower? Hold on. Philippines. Yeah, I think it's Eisenhower is signing the declaration of war. That's how well you can see that. But wonderful. December 12th, U.S. now at war with Germany and Italy. Japanese checked all land fighting. 3 of their ships sunk. 2D battleship hit. So it used to be the newspapers would publish specific details about what's going on in the war. And the before the Reagan administration, the nightly news would do so too. We had heroes return from, I don't want to say the name of the ship even, but we had heroes return here to Jacksonville that had fought the Houthi, the Iranian terrorists that are attacking northern Israel. And they sank ships and they did this and they did that. And they're heroes. But it's not on the 6 o'clock news. Now, them coming home is mentioned in 6 o'clock news. But what ships they sank and the actual details of the war are not published so much like they used to be. They used to make videos of actual battles, knock reports, 1 battleship sunk at Hawaii, 5 other craft lost, but main fleet is at sea. President lays parified to Japanese emperor. So more of the details and facts of battle used to be shared than they are now. Of course, since we have internet and we have instantaneous communication, sometimes it can make battle more difficult because your enemy knows what you're doing and can figure out your strategy easier than, when it waited. There was 3 days lag on when it was printed on the front news. Now, the Pearl Harbor was, as you could see, was published on December 8th. What happened on December 7th? Now, if the U.S. is attacked or would be attacked, it would be instantaneously on the news. Karen and Susie and Jimmy and John and Alfredo would all be out there with their cell phones showing what was going on. But as far as us getting news from the battlefields in the Middle East and in Israel, we don't get those, releases like we used to, in previous battles. Now, Korea and Vietnam were a different kind of war, and we didn't get, ground jungle warfare updates. But definitely you can look at the old reels of World War II and see that the details of what ships were sunk and the battle arena was reported probably within a half a day to 2 days. And it's just not now. I know that those heroes came home to Jacksonville from that ship and they sunk ships out in the Middle East, but it's not on the 6 o'clock news or the 7 o'clock news or CNN, to my knowledge, within a day or if ever covered. So the way that journalism covers war has definitely changed, and things are a lot more opinionated than straightforward. You know, this rocket hit this ship sank, should be part of the news. And, you know, it's a lot more fuzzier now, and it's a lot more politicized than factual. We are the good guys uh, when we are protecting Israel, my opinion. So, anyway, this is highly prized. It's very good condition. It is in very good condition. So are the other books. I just didn't get my doilies. And I was kind of holding my breath because it came in an envelope and not a box. So I have personal preferences with ephemera and vintage books and spiral books. Really, any book, if it's sent in an envelope, it can damage the binding. But I guess that comes from a lot of experience in ordering books and ephemera um, on auctions and, you know, from eBay from years ago. And also, uh, I want to give a shout out to Toochman, because when he sent my last batch of ephemera, he put it in a box, and that's what I prefer. Aaron is a wonderful reseller. He ships and invoices efficiently. I ordered differently from him. I went to an auction and bought, oh, here it is, this, and I wanted to add to it, so I emailed him back and forth. So we ended up having a lot more communication, and it seemed uh, scattered, but part of that was me. So, but I'm happy to have gotten the books and the clock. I just need the doilies now. So you all have a wonderful and blessed day, and I'll give you an update when I get the doilies.